Today, now we return to one of our top stories of the day. President Cyril Ramaphosa has accepted the resignations of 4 SABC board members. The resignations follow a disagreement with the new communications minister, Stella Ndabeni-Abrahams, over staff retrenchments, it's believed. The board had taken a decision to institute Section 189 of the Labour Relations Act, retrenching something in the order of 981 permanent employees and not renewing the contracts of 1,200 freelancers as part of SABC's turnaround strategy. The national coordinator of Save Our SABC, SOS Coalition, Duduetsang, Makuse, joins me now. Thanks very much for joining us. Welcome to the program.
Thank you for having us.
All right, so you've been watching the public broadcaster and its challenges for a number of years now.
Yeah.
This latest development, your thoughts as a coalition?
We think this is the biggest problem we've faced in the history of the SABC's democratic existence.
Why do you say that?
It comes at a time when not only are we facing leadership instability, we're facing job insecurities, we're facing an actual financial crisis in the institution. So you have so many orifices to plug, and yet at the same time you still need people to continue to do their jobs and to broadcast to the nation. And it's really challenging because this comes on the back of, you know, a ruling party that promised us a free and independent public broadcaster, and they haven't delivered that. So, yeah.
All right, so you've issued a statement, and I just wonder if you could take us through some of the main points of action that you believe that the stakeholders need to take.
So before today's resignations, our position was that the president should not accept the resignations, primarily because, as I said, a leadership vacuum at this point in time when Parliament is about to close, it just seems untenable, because you would get into the new year and you would essentially have to rush through an appointment process in January so that there'd be a full board complement by elections time, which we, by the way, are not actually sure as to when that would be. The second thing we called for was for the minister not to infringe on the SABC's independence, but rather to attempt to engage more constructively. Because what we had seen in the past 2 days was that she had essentially come in and engaged and had gone around, you know, the existing processes and structures. It would have been better if she had come with a delegation of parliamentary committee members rather than her own political delegation, because that just blurs the line and you start crossing into that political interference terrain. The other issue that we were addressing was that we were calling on unions to really come together and try to assist the management in finding solutions. After all, they've been here long. They've been here as long as the staff. So if anybody needs to come to the table around how to take things forward, then the unions should be part of that conversation. And most importantly, we were calling on the president to try and make sure that a government guarantee is put in place. Not because we're asking for a bailout, not because we're asking for some kind of cash injection. We're simply saying, give the SABC's creditors, its staff, and everybody else who interacts with it the comfort that it has the political support that it needs to continue its operation.
Right. So guarantee, what it will do is give temporary relief. There are, it looks like, deep problems that need to be solved. How do we solve those? We've got a profit and loss account that has a huge number where it says staff. The board is saying this is untenable. The CEO is on record as saying that the ratio, and the CFO, the ratio of staff costs to income is unusually high. So that's the one challenge. And then the unions are saying, listen, we didn't appoint ourselves in these positions. You can't just fire us because the management didn't do their job. How do you balance these forces?
Look, I think part of it is internal processes and the other part is external processes. So by external processes, I'm referring to, you know, making sure that you accelerate the recovery of lost monies and putting those back into the SABC's coffers. And then obviously, if you're going to go through a Section 189 process, it can't be a blanket process. As I said before, it has to be nuanced. You literally have to go and nitpick and come in with a scalpel rather than a hammer and say, right, where's the bloat? From what we've seen and heard, the bloat is in the middle. So if the bloat is in the middle, how do you start clawing that back? You could try different tactics. Is it saying to people, look, you got an increase that you shouldn't have gotten. We could maybe keep you if we did. You know, there's many alternatives, nuanced alternatives that would have to be explored there. But it is a painful thing. And one thing that I do want the public to know is it's not unique to the SABC. The media sector has gotten rid of almost 10,000 journalists in the past 5 to 10 years. And that's the reality of the advertising model, is that it brings these challenges.
Are you accepting or suggesting that job losses are inevitable, but it's just the magnitude that you're looking at?
We're not accepting that they're inevitable. We're saying that in order to, unless by some miracle you can increase these revenues to the point of retaining the 3 billion bill, you're essentially saying, how do we best utilize the people that we have, put people into places where you can prepare for the digital future? I mean, the SABC's needs are going to grow. You know, there's all these other avenues that will still have to be catered for. So it's not necessarily a matter of saying, yes, job losses, get rid of people, or no, job losses, keep everyone. You do have to move things around. Question is, how do you do it, and at what cost?
How do we fix, which is obviously a very strained relationship between the shareholder, the board, and some might even say the executive and the staff along this chain?
I was saying to somebody yesterday that, you know, technically speaking, because retrenchments and managing the operation is operational, we could strictly just say, Minister, you have no place. It's all for the unions and management and staff to deal with. Let them have the conversation. But the political moment in the country doesn't allow for stalemate positions and antagonism. It's the moment to literally say, all right, we have opposing views about what needs to happen here. But in order to keep the lights on and to keep the airwaves going, what are the next steps that we need to collectively be working towards? And I think that's the position and the posture that we all need to adopt at this moment. Thereafter, nobody's going to be pulling in terms of trying to electioneer or trying to score cards or whatever. Now we need to be looking at the sustainability of the public broadcaster. So I think it's about reading the moment and positioning ourselves in the right places for the current moment.
Have you been able to engage with any of the stakeholders as yet?
Not since I attended Parliament's last meeting, where they were asking the board to go back and do some more homework. Yeah.
All right, so, you know, we're running out of time. March is just around the corner. That's the end of the financial year. And the CFO has said that's a day zero in terms of the current funding. What do we do urgently between now and then?
This goes back to our call to the president, is, you know, the relevant ministers and the relevant ministries need to sit around and find a way to recapitalize the public broadcaster. It is a public broadcaster. So we can't think that money is going to come from private investors or somebody else. It's too late to be talking about those kind of deals. It needs recapitalization now. The political nuances of it all can be discussed at a later stage. Right now, we need to keep people in their jobs, the lights on, and the broadcasts going.
Okay. Are you concerned that the minister hasn't said anything as yet?
A little bit concerned, but moreover concerned about, you know, the president accepting the resignations and the fact that we could literally be sitting without a leadership structure at the top.
All right, so we're going to have to leave it there, but thanks very much indeed for joining us and sharing your thoughts with us. And I think this concerns are shared by many, many people, not least of which staff here at the SABC. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.